Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cloud Show. Today, we're going to talk about a very important topic. How do you structure your life with everything that you need to put in it in order to also be able to keep up with this ever-changing cloud world? How do you train? How do you learn? And what do you do? We're going to talk to a specialist who has done quite a bit of that, who knows a lot about it. And therefore, we're going to pick his brain for a minute here to see what do you do to learn about the cloud. So the expert in question is an Azure MVP. His name is Thiago Custódiot. Hello, Thiago. Welcome to the Cloud Show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you here. So you're coming to us from Houston, Texas, right?
Yes, I'm based in here. It's been 5 years already. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you work at Xebia?
Xebia, yes.
Xebia, yes, Xebia. Xebia as an Azure application modernization consultant and so forth. So, and you're an Azure MVP. So you're all up in Azure and doing cloud stuff and learning, I guess, continuously about that. And that's what we're going to talk about. But anything else that we need to know about you?
Well, personally, I have 2 daughters, beautiful daughters, and 3 cats. And I love sports. And yeah, that's it.
Well, with 2 daughters, you certainly most certainly keep busy.
Yes.
I only have 1, and that keeps me busy. So I can unfortunately, only imagine.
Yeah, and it's important that I mention that because you need to balance your life. It's not only work, it's not only study. So you need to organize your day. Otherwise, you won't have time for everything, right?
Yeah, but you've been in this game for a long time. You've kind of come up with the same as myself. We've done Azure for a long time. We've learned about Azure, and Azure has grown exponentially crazy. And you have to learn. You have to continuously follow along with all the news and all the changes.
Yes.
So I guess that is the topic for today. How do you do that? What is the way to have a life outside of tech and have a work life in tech and learn about the cloud all the time?
Yeah.
So take it away.
So there are a couple of things that I've been doing and works for me. So for example, actually, let me start with something important. About 20 years ago, when I was starting my career, a friend of mine, he gave me an important advice. And he said, Thiago, you need to focus on the fundamentals. Because fundamentals, it's where the technology will evolve, right? It's the building block or the important piece where you need to focus. Basically, that's what he said. And on that time, I didn't believe him. But now, with more maturity, I realized that he was right. And that's basically what I do. So, for example, a couple months ago, I wrote a post on LinkedIn sharing that, I managed to pass 5 certification exams in 5 months, something like this. And people started to ask me, hey, Thiago, where's the secret? Can you share the secret? And in reality, there's no secret. All I've been doing is focusing on the fundamentals. And then I just need to update a little bit about what it's new, right? And that's what I would like to share for your audience. So, for example, as you mentioned, Azure evolved a lot since the beginning, but we still have virtual machines, we still have storage accounts, we still have databases, we still have networking. So that's the piece which is the same. What it's evolving, it's what people are creating on top of that, right?
Yeah. Well, I one of the popular things that I say currently is that all of those wonderful services that we see coming out of Microsoft and that we use for just about everything, the whole data fabric, all of the AI services, all of those things are they exist because there is a fundamental platform underneath.
Yes.
Right? That's what Microsoft has done. They've created this massive infrastructure with these fundamental services like storage and compute and various things. Yes. And now they are offering great, services that you just switch on top of that, right?
Yes, you're right. Fabric is the latest one, right? And
Yeah.
as you mentioned, if you notice, under the hood, there is Data Factory, there's Power BI, there's probably, what else? Let me think about it.
I mean, lots
There's
of
the
storage.
Synapse,
Yeah.
there's the storage. So
Yeah.
all those things, they exist before, but now
Yeah.
they are packaged in a uniform way. So
Yeah.
what it's new is the pricing model, but
Yeah.
the fundamental is the same.
Yeah, and integration services, right? So many things, and also like access and security integration and those kinds of things, data governance, kind of built into the service that we can now just simply, quote unquote, right? We can turn it on and consume it.
Yes.
But underneath, you are correct, are all fundamentals.
Yes.
Everything that makes it tick.
Yes. But it's the same for other services as well. So every year, like on Build or Ignite, Microsoft is releasing something new, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's being amplified by marketing, but when you go and look what it's all about, you realize, oh, this is, I don't know, maybe just a new package of something which is already there, or sometimes it's something brand new which you need to, study.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely. So studying then for the exams, you have studied for multiple exams. You have about
yes.
5 or 6 of them or something. Isn't there doesn't it take a lot of effort to achieve them and then maintain them?
As I said, yes and no. But for me, I can study like 2-3 weeks and that's enough because I have a good understanding on the fundamentals, right? So for example, there's this DP 600, which is about Fabric. I was thinking about studying for this one. However, I don't have the fundamentals on the data engineering part. So it's something that I need to go after first. And then, only then, I master that part, I'll be able to, proper dedicate 2 weeks and go after this exam. So
for the ones who don't know, is it that way technically that these are structured, like they are layered? There's a fundamental exam first for something, and then there's something more advanced on top of that with a prerequisite. You have to do the fundamental one first, and then go further. Is that how they?
That's the way I see it. Because, for example, let me use an analogy here. If you want to build a building, right, you can only add more floors once you have a good fundamental. Otherwise, right, it won't last, right?
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so studying for, like you said, it takes about 2 weeks. How do you make time? How do you fit that into your life? You have a job, you have a daughter, you have things, right? You
yes,
probably want to, you have a house or somewhere, or, so many things. How do you fit everything in your life? Because that's, what I hear from a lot of people, that it's challenging to make it all fit.
Yes, you're right. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you need to organize your day. So what I noticed from multiple years doing this and, try different methods, I realized that you have energy and you have time. So sometimes when you have time, you are out of energy, or the opposite, right? So what you need to do is start earlier your day, and that's when you focus to study. Because otherwise, let's say, oh, I'm going to study after my work, or after I put the kids on bed, or after something, you'll be out of energy. So the quality you invest won't be the same as if you are, fresh and full of energy.
So you try to set aside a block of studying early in the day, or first thing in the day.
Yes.
So that you know that you get it done.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's my main advice for people, because even if you have more time at the end of your day, the quality, it won't be the same. I can guarantee that, because you'll be out of energy. So what you need to do, it's either study when you are commuting. So for example, you can always play a podcast or play
Okay.
a video and just listen, and
Yeah.
after you take notes, or you do when everybody's sleeping, like you wake up 5 a.m. and start studying, and that's it.
So I guess same as with many other things, it's about a priority and a dedication. Like if you want this, then you have to
Yes.
like ensure somehow that works for you that you have some block of time set aside, because otherwise it's never going to happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned an important topic here, which is about priority. So if it's important to you, you find the time,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, you'll find excuses. That's it.
Wow. Okay, it's time for the big sentences here now. Yeah, you find time or you find excuses. That's
Yes.
true. That's true. It's similar to working out, right? That there's this other saying, right? You make time for your health, or you will make time for your illness. Something like that, right?
Yeah,
It's,
good analogy. Yes.
and that's a good analogy, right? You either or. That makes sense. And so, what would you recommend? How do people like get started with if they are working in this industry and maybe they just want to learn more about cloud, or they want to sort of climb the ladder to show that they have initiative because they have taken some certification levels and so forth. Like, how do you recommend to get started with this? Like, you've done it for a while, so you would know.
Yes. So in the past, like when I mentioned 20 years ago, our best way to acquire knowledge was through the official training kits. You may remember that. Yeah, right.
MOOCs, Microsoft Official Curriculum.
Yeah, and the training kits as well. They were dedicated books for the certification exam. And by the way, there were topics which only exist on those books. Like, for example, I remember one guy, the same one that gave me the advice. He was the only guy we found 20 years ago with the .NET remoting knowledge. And we asked him, hey, how do you know that? And he mentioned, oh, it's on this book. So, but no,
the person who wrote the book and him, there were two.
Yeah, but nowadays it's different because it takes time for people to write books, and there's a high chance that when the book gets published, it's already outdated, or soon it will be, right? So what you need to do is acquire the information as soon as it's produced. So through videos, podcasts, or kind of fast materials like that. But for people that want to get started, I would recommend the fundamental certifications like AZ900, for example. It covers the basic of cloud computing, not only Azure, but that's the fundamental for sure. And then you start going through more specialized
So
tasks, I would say.
I really like what Microsoft did when they kind of overhauled and kind of gathered everything, documentation as well as training under the Learn moniker, right? Learn.microsoft.com.
Yes.
Everything is there, essentially, right? So because there are so many different items in there to learn about, one way to start is to look at the certifications and try to figure out which ones you want to take. But if you don't know which tech you might find, fun, you can start also from the other side of it, saying, oh, there are different, they call them learning paths, right? Like, read about them, right? Figure out which ones there are. Would that be a good approach as well? And then find something that sounds fun, start learning about that.
That's one approach for sure. The other approach is, for example, when you try to solve your own problems. So, for example, I want to automate sending emails to clients, for example. So you start to map which services I could use, which will help me automate this task. So
do a little research.
I could use Logic Apps, for example, or I could use Azure Functions or something like this. So little by little, you start getting contact with those services, and then you start to create a map in your mind, like the different services you can use to achieve a specific goal, and then you go from there.
Sounds about right.
A practical approach, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay. So then you have certifications, and I know there's a leading question because the answer is no. You don't. Then do you have them for life? Then you get a certification. What happens?
Well, what happens is pretty much it attests that you have the knowledge on a specific area, and that's it. But after some time, you need to renew this certification because, as we've mentioned before, things are always changing in cloud computing and IT in general. So,
but you still need to go to like a test center and take a test for certification, right?
No, you can do online if you want. You don't need to go to a test center anymore. That's good, in my opinion.
There's the online options as well, where you sit and do the thing online, and you get assessed and then you get to renew them later on.
Yes, they're valid for about 18 months, something like this.
Okay. And then you keep them up to date. Okay.
Yeah, and one important little detail, sorry. You don't need to take the entire exam again. It's more like a couple of questions about the different topics of the exam. So I would say it's, I don't know, maybe 30% less questions.
Okay. So it's just a renewal thing to ensure that you still, so that they have the opportunity to give you news.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Sounds good. Well, that's brilliant. So I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to the audience here about this topic, because it is challenging, and I suppose, like you said, right, for same as with everything else, you have to find a little time somewhere, and if it's important, then you will. Yeah, I think that was brilliant. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for being on the Cloud Show, and thank you for sharing this knowledge. And I guess people can reach out to you and online if they wanna have some advice. I guess.
Sounds great. Thanks one more time, Magnus.
All right. Thank you for being on the Cloud Show, and audience, I will see you next time on the Cloud Show.
Take care.